Hello, everybody, and welcome to My Stylish Life. This is a podcast where we would like to discuss and chat about interior design trends as a first in Africa, because we just felt like this is something that we haven't seen out there before. My name is Linda Mzamane. I am here with my co-host, Bridget Meier of Style East.
Hi.
Hi, Bridget. And so we're just so excited to be starting
So
this.
excited.
I know,
So
right?
excited. Yeah. I just feel there's a lot out there in America, in Europe.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, it's wonderful and inspiring always to listen to those kind of podcasts. But a lot of the information they give out there is actually not applicable to us here in South Africa. You know,
And that's like from a climate perspective.
Oh, of course. But just the fundamentals of building is so distinctly different.
Yes.
You know, we even use a different metric measuring system. But yeah, particularly building, it's very, very different. So, you know, and then we can talk about our own culture, like you say. It's so exciting. So much stuff going on in Africa as a continent. Us as a country. So I think it's going to be really exciting for us to get into this, chat about it.
Exactly. And I think for me, what also excites me so much about doing this podcast is that, yes, we are inspired by interior design trends from other parts of the world, but we also have our own sense of style.
Definitely. We have our own design narrative. Exactly. And
so I felt that this was such an important conversation for us to start having, and really just kind of like bring it down to a level where it's, number one, relaxed, but also just for the everyday person sitting at their house wanting to elevate their home or office spaces, living spaces, and just kind of like have fun with where you live, because at the end of the day, that's your space, and you want to make it a sanctuary. You want to make it, you know, we all have aspirations for what we want our homes and office spaces to look like.
I mean, ultimately, like I would say, what actually is interior design, if we break it down? You know, it's, yes, we make things look beautiful, but ultimately it's obviously the functionality as well. But I think more importantly, like essentially, interior design is about enhancing lifestyles, whether it is your life at home, your life at work, your life shopping. I mean, these are things that I don't even think people consider when they are in a mall, the thought process that goes into designing of those spaces. So yeah, I think for me, it really is important that we recognize interior design enhances lifestyles. And that's really what I think we want to get across with this podcast is, how can we make your life better? Because that's what interior design does. So I think along the way, we want to have some fun, and we want to give you some tips. We want to get into design related queries and really enhance your life. Ultimately.
Absolutely. So for me, before we get into what the question I want to ask you, Bridge, is the distinction between interior design and interior decoration, because those are two
that
very,
is the
very
big burning question.
professions.
I know.
But before we get into it, because we're going to go down a rabbit hole there, I want us to kind of just discuss the dynamic between you and I.
How we know each other.
Why we felt suited for this podcast, and just that relationship. So Bridget obviously is the owner of Style East, the most incredible interior design company. And I happen to be not only a client more than once in home and office space, but also I'm a friend. And we knew each other since high school.
Yes, and definitely since high school. Maybe even primary school.
Primary school, but definitely high school. We were, all girls school vibes. And ever since then, you know, and we kind of came back into each other's lives now as moms and with families, and then picked up the conversation about design, and that's where our relationship kicked off. So what's nice about this podcast is that there is that dynamic of friendship, but also
absolutely
a client and client service.
I think for me, I think that's what makes it quite exciting, is that Lynn's has seen it from like all angles, in that she's experienced it as being a client in, you know, designing and decorating, going through that whole process for her own home, and then an office space. So it's an interesting dynamic for us to chat about that, which I think are those kind of things like we'll unpack as our season unpacks as well. You can offer your perspective and also ask the questions and provide input from your side of things. You know, as I'm sure many other people have similar kind of queries and questions. But I think what's great about it is we know how to have a lot of fun together as well. And we're really looking forward to kind of unpacking this and chatting more about interiors.
Okay, so let's kick it off. What is the difference between an interior designer and interior decorator?
Yes, it's quite a burning question.
Let's define this without throwing any shade.
Yes, okay. All right, so an interior designer has typically studied a higher degree diploma or degree in interior design, where some of your subjects are architectural based, more than half of them. So you have a thorough knowledge and understanding of building and building contracts and building practices and like that technical knowledge. And, you know, as an interior designer, you can go on to get your master's, you can, you know, specialize even further and take some exams that allow you to be able to sign off buildings for certain square meterages. So I think with an interior designer, you have a whole lot of a technical understanding and ability, also obviously of working on really big projects, whether it is like big hotels, big shopping malls. Whereas an interior decorator, you know, I think you can study there quite a few courses out there that offer interior decorating. Some people are self-taught. They might just have a natural flair for it. And typically they, you know, you're in the world of styling, fabrics, colors, that kind of role.
So you're essentially styling pre-existing spaces.
I mean, or like doing
decorating.
revamps of, you know, so like you might want to redo your lounge. Typically, you don't have to get an interior designer. You can get an interior decorator. They can assist you with that.
But a decorator do they get involved in the structural
aspect? No. So that's the thing. An interior decorator can't get involved in the structural aspect because they don't have that knowledge. And also they're not coming in with the knowledge of essentially all the kind of other add-ons, like let's just say electrical understanding, and you know, perhaps the design principles that we use when we're applying to projects. So it's just the approach is like really different.
The eye-opener when I first started working with you was the realization that as an interior designer, you actually start way back from foundation phase of a building. I didn't realize that from then already you are already part of that project. You are already, you know, are liaising with architects and all of that. And that for me was like, oh wow, so this is bigger than a few scattercushions.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's where like the true benefit of having interior designers, you know, the sooner we get involved in a project, like the better outcome for that end project as well. Because we do, I mean, like, let's go back to this whole enhancing lifestyles. What we're saying is, you know, we don't just look at like, okay, that's going to be the lounge, that's going to be the dining room, or whatever. We actually look and see, okay, how do you and your family use your space? Let's actually unpack that as the users of this space. And then we plan around your needs functionally.
Yes.
And that's what we always take it back to. And I think that's also perhaps a big difference maybe between an interior designer and a decorator is that it's not just, okay, let's recover that couch in that.
Or let's move that couch from there to there.
Yes. It's like really unpacking it on a different level, you know, or like this is what we do a lot of. I go to a space where perhaps in its previous life, it was supposed to be a lounge there, a dining room, and this there. And we walk in and we're like, okay, this is actually not the right layout for this space. Because functionally, you guys can't sit in your TV room over there. Your family is too big for that. We need to like switch up spaces. Do you know what I mean? So we do a lot of stuff like that, which, you know, that kind of stuff, it's exciting because, you know, we're making a really big difference, you know, and like, I think ultimately like the absolute best compliment that for me, that I get at the end of the project is when someone's like, I absolutely love living in my home, or I love working here, love coming to work. I mean, that's like the absolute best, like hands down the absolute best, because that is actually the aim.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone should actually ever discount the psychological impact of having pleasant spaces and living in spaces that really you can like just lean into and get them feeling lived in. So that's pretty awesome. So part of what we wanted to do for this first episode is have a kickoff discussion around trends and some of the trends that we have seen permeating themselves in our country quite a lot. Obviously, a lot of trends come from elsewhere, as with fashion,
Pinterest,
as with, you know, everything else. So I thought maybe we could pick up on a few of these trends that more and more people in South Africa are using in their homes, and kind of just have a chat about the origins of those trends, you know, how to use those trends in your home, and, you know, ways in which you can use them in big ways and small ways, and just maybe your recommendations around that, and then just discuss whether or not these trends are going to stand the test of time. Exactly. So the first trend I wanted to talk about is marble. Okay, so
I know you have some thoughts on this.
I mean, listen, I love marble. I really do. And I love original marble. And also, I think working with you when we first worked in our home project was my first experience or understanding of the variations of marble that are out there.
Yes, because we used quite a few different marbles and stones but in also, your home.
I think also was the realization that if you cannot... maybe if marble is not entirely in your budget, there's so many things nowadays that resemble marble that are just as good in all of the various spaces. So I think let's talk about that, because we're seeing it in so many iterations. So in what ways are people using marble in their homes? Obviously.
I know you had mentioned to me a while ago, and you were like, oh, don't you think marble's actually done? And I was like, no, absolutely not. I mean, look, I love marble. I absolutely love marble. And I mean, marble has been around for like centuries. I mean, you know, since the start of civilization in, you know, Greek and Roman times, Turkish times, you know, I mean, Michelangelo was sculpting, you know, out of marble.
Was he marble?
Yes.
Okay, fun fact.
So, I think marble has always been a classic. It will always be a classic.
But why has it seen such a resurgence? Why has it exploded in everybody's homes now? Whether it's in fireplace accents, obviously countertops have always been there, but now tiles, like everyone's tiles are like this marble look.
Tiles.
Yes.
I mean, look, obviously, you know, even since actually, I would say, when we did your home, things are constantly evolving in our industry, and people are making new products all the time, which is super exciting. And for me, the marble, I think they've just been able to push the boundaries in terms of what, obviously real marble is still the classic, like the OG. That is beautiful. Obviously not within everyone's budget. But the thing about marble is that it's got it brings about this pattern and this texture, and has this life of its own, which is so appealing. You know, and obviously can go from a contemporary interior to a classical interior. It's like so adaptable. Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere, Linz. I think marble's here to stay. I think the application now, we're just seeing a lot of it in terms of people are able to reproduce it on furniture in cheaper ways. So suddenly it's become a whole lot more accessible mainstream. I don't know how that's going to be pan out, I must be honest. I think always what happens when things like become too flooded, I think it'll go back to then we will like the original, which will cost more. You know what I mean? When it does do that like 360. That's what I think will ultimately happen, which tends to happen a lot. But for now, the fact that we can get it on so many different surfaces and so many different applications and price points, I think it's really fab and it's exciting because we're able to like really do creative things at the moment with it and in different ways, and that's fun.
Okay, quick do's and don'ts about marble before we rate it. Do's and don'ts that you can think of off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, look, if you're using real marble as a natural product, so it can get damaged with heat or cold items and crack. And then it can discolor. So something can get into that crack and it can turn orange, it can turn yellow. So, you know, if you're going to have real marble, it's something that you have to understand is a natural material, and you know, you got to lean into that with that, like leather, for instance, you know, if you're buying a leather sofa, you got to understand that, you know, it can change color over time. It is going, but that adds, I think, to the authenticity of it, right? So yeah, you just have to be careful about what you put on it because it can get damaged. But with all the, I'm not going to call them fake marbles because I like them.
The variations,
the accessibility, all the options that we have. I mean, there's the most fab product. I'm not going to mention its name right now, but it is like the specs on it are fabulous. You can put anything on it, and nothing is going to happen to it. So it's a really great product to use in place of actually original marble at this point. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so what do we think? Is marble here to stay?
I still love it.
Yes. Okay, so we love it.
Yes.
Marble is here to stay. All right, fabulous. So next on the list of trends I want us to tackle is wooden slats.
Yeah, you mentioned to me that you've been seeing a lot of slats, and and I know
TV
that
units.
Yeah.
It's appearing as just like points of interest on wall passages.
I mean, it is. As a designer, it's quite interesting because and again, you know, in South Africa, sometimes we get things a bit later than what is happening elsewhere. Yeah, elsewhere. And we see these beautiful interiors on Pinterest, and then they kind of filter down and to us. Aside from like obviously the awesome aesthetic that South Africa has going on, it's a separate conversation to be had. But the timber slats are kind of everywhere at the moment. They're definitely having a moment. Personally, it's so interesting because we as Style East started developing our own timber slat detail, I want to say a good 3 years ago. We started doing it in interiors, and it involved many a meeting with my cabinet makers, trying to get the correct thickness of slat, the depth of slat we wanted to create. You know, I have a whole
type of wood.
Absolutely. The type of staining on the wood, what substrates. And it involved a lot of meetings and a lot of time and effort. And we did do quite a few projects with that. I think what I really like about a timber slat for me is the pattern, the like repetitive pattern. So pattern,
something's very calming about it, or soothing about it.
Yeah, pattern is a principle of design if we want to get technical. And I mean, timber is just the best, obviously, as a natural product. It brings in warmth and texture being another principle of design. So, you know, those are all things we really do actually like to incorporate in design. And I think now that we have, you know, are able to achieve this kind of slat, we can bring timber in to interiors in an interesting, novel way. But yeah, 3 years later, after we've been trying to workshop our own slats, now suddenly we have a whole lot available to us.
They've exploded. Yeah. There's even like these.
So
you can buy them segmented.
Yes, I mean, I see the hardware stores that are selling them now. I mean, DIY, you can do your own if you wanted to. Honestly, I mean, off the top of my hand, I know about 6 different brands of different types of slats in different colors, in different substrates, whether it's a real wood or
or like substrate.
Substrate is like material. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So what I mean by substrate is like timber would be the one on a different like acoustic felt backing board. Maybe you've seen that a lot.
I've seen those.
Has that
ones.
popped up on your Instagram algorithm?
It has, yes, with the felt in the back.
Yes.
And then you just
so that's like we call the felt, the substrate, like the backing. The material. And then we get like I'm gonna learn some words.
Verbiage. Yes.
And then we get like I don't want to use the word plastic, but I suppose what would we use in its place? It's not polypropylene. Let's call it like the vinyl or laminate versions.
Okay. Yeah.
Which obviously are going to be more cost effective, but offer the exact same thing. So now suddenly you're on a budget, you're still wanting to achieve that. Great pros. I mean, we're busy with a retail installation at the moment, retail being shops. Okay, another word to learn. And it's actually made from recyclable materials. So it looks like a wooden slat. Okay. But that's fab because our client wanted to use energy efficient recyclable products. So that was a big tick. And also you do stuff like that, more materials like that, and a lot of them are cleanable, wipeable because they are laminate and not, authentically real. Yeah. So it's great because suddenly we have like a whole variety at our fingertips.
Listen, I am all for access. Okay, quick do's and don'ts on slats that you can think about. Obviously, we've seen them in wall units. Where should you not put wooden slats? Like bathrooms come to mind, but I've seen them there.
I've done it in bathrooms.
Like real wood in bathrooms. Does it not get damaged?
I mean, we actually have. Okay, then we did like solid wood. So solid wood, can be in a moisture environment. Okay. I mean, you've got to do like kind of your research and your homework on things at the moment. Very excited to share that project. Oh, nice. We're underway with a project that is on site at the moment, and we're actually doing timber clad slat ceiling, which is going to be exciting to achieve.
Awesome. Nice. Okay, so what do we think?
Leave it?
Do we love it or do we leave it?
I'm still loving it.
I think it can stay. Wooden slats can stay. Okay, great. Next up, we want to talk about black hardware and tapware.
Yeah, I often get asked this question, like all the time actually, and clients are like, I don't know, they're a bit scared about doing black taps. Is chrome the traditional color that we all grew up with in our homes? Is that not the classical way to go? Is black just a trend? And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, a little black dress...
LBD classic.
Exactly.
So in a
That's
similar
what I'm
way,
saying. In a similar way.
Classic.
It's classic. Black
so,
is
we're seeing that in shower frames. We're seeing it on the shower heads, the taps, the sink taps and things.
Handles, trims on tiles. Yeah. I mean, look, perhaps over time, no one, we might get tired of using it as a trim around a shower screen. But ultimately, I think black will always have its place because it is, again, it's a classic. It is black, the little BD, So I don't foresee that going out of fashion. Like for me, I must be honest, I don't see it as a trend per se.
You think it's just something that has
it's just evolved
and it's now it's more, it's around, we see it in more iterations and more spaces. I mean, I think
I'll tell you what is a trend though.
What
is pink.
Pink?
Yes.
Pink where?
Well, I mean, hello, Bobby Core. Yes. Okay. So that for me, if we want to say like what is a trend, that I would put in a bracket of being a trend with lifespan.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
That is definitely going to have a lifespan. We are not painting brooms pink.
Hot pink.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I hear you.
Yes.
I hear you.
So at the moment, everyone's wearing pink and accessorizing with pink. And I mean, it's fab. I love pink. So I've got nothing against that. And I know there was a whole dream house created in Malibu. And
I saw
did you
that
see
Barbie
that?
dream.
Yeah.
It's like a real one.
Yes.
And it's going to be on Airbnb or something.
Exactly.
And you can live in
that's
it.
cool. That's cool. But like what I want to say is we're not recreating Barbie dream houses as a whole is actually a trend at the moment that I have seen a lot of the entire year. So from January, we have seen definitely.
Okay, before we move on, are we loving or leaving black? Black hardware, tapware.
Okay,
because now we're talking colors, but
okay, I love the black. I'm staying with it.
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be in the realm of like rose gold tapware.
Oh no, you see
and stuff. Because we're not doing that anymore.
No, but rose gold was like the pink lens.
Yeah.
No, rose gold was never gonna stay.
I mean, I love it. It looks beautiful. I just question the longevity. Is all I'm saying. So we are
interesting. Divided. We divided on this.
That's that on
divided.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
color.
Yeah.
Yes.
So color. So colors definitely out there, and I think it actually stems from life after COVID, to be honest.
Yeah.
What I will say is a trend. Maybe I'm actually going to talk about this now. Personally, I don't really subscribe to trends as like an interior designer. I mean, obviously, we educate ourselves what's happening in the world, what's happening, obviously, in South Africa. And it's important to know what is happening. But you know, essentially the interiors that we're trying to create are timeless interiors.
Yeah.
You know, so we are definitely not slaves to trends.
Yeah.
Just as a disclaimer. But yeah, let's talk about what is happening out there. Color is actually having a moment. And I think it's because people are ultimately wanting to personalize their spaces. More.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a response to COVID.
Yeah.
You know, so people are like making bold decisions, and there definitely has been brighter coloring. Again, I don't think that actually has longevity.
Okay.
Because I think inherently people always go back to what makes them comfortable, like retreats.
And
like
just what's easy on the eye.
Yeah, like your sanctuary.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to homes. Office working space. I mean, there I think you can have some fun with color. And obviously with like corporate identities, branding, you do want to bring color in. And obviously there's psychology of color. I mean, that we can save for another whole episode on its own. I mean,
yellow at some point. Remember
that art in your home.
Yes.
No,
so we're talking about the art piece,
amazing.
but then also the scatter cushions. We had little scatters that were like long rectangular ones.
Absolutely.
Yellow,
love
like
that.
nice against navy.
Yes.
Beautiful. That was really nice.
But now you see, to use this as an example, that interior that we did for you was essentially neutral with a splash of color. And it was a bold color that we did at the splash, but it completely worked
in the space.
Because you still had the neutral environment, and then we had those splashes. That's still ultimately one of my favorite interiors I've ever done. And I'm not just saying that because we're podcasting together.
Listen, it was it still takes my breath away to this day.
But sorry, like we're talking about art. That's obviously the other way also in bringing color in.
In art.
Yes.
Not
to forget art.
And I
that's
think
really
art
important.
is probably, in my view, a bit more of a sophisticated way to bring color into your home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'd much rather do art color than some of the other ways that you see.
And what are your thoughts?
On color? You know what? I think color. What do we think about color? I think used correctly in the right applications, color can stay.
I'm with you on that. In the right space, absolutely, I love it. I would say, like too much of it, I would leave it. But ultimately,
just use sparingly. And in the right ways, I think it's a keeper, you know. So
absolutely,
yeah.
And then I mean, chatting about like again, going back to like life after COVID, I would say that a big trend, or it's not even a trend, I think it's just the way that now life is people want to personalize their spaces.
Yep.
And specifically their homes and own it. Like, we spent all that time in our homes, couldn't go anywhere. And I think people are just like embracing that fully. And I don't think that is something that it kind of is a trend, but it's not a trend. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I think that's just the way that life is moving now.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I think that's accurate for sure. Do you know something that's just occurred to me now that I've just thought about as we're sitting here, and it's something that so many South African homes do. Family photography and family portraiture. It's a huge thing. I remember once driving past somebody's house, they had glass on the stairway leading
and
up
you
to
could
the
look
stairs.
up in
there
it.
was a ginormous picture of everyone in the family, and you could basically see, okay, these are all the people that live here, and I can see this driving past your house.
Yeah, no, for safety reasons, no.
I just like, I was never one for these big giant family portraits, and I just feel like, yes, family photographs have a very important space in your
Absolutely.
home. But these gigantic ones, and you get those horrid studio pictures,
Oh, like, yes,
with like
yes,
the fade and the blurs, and everyone's wearing the white tees, and what do you think about those?
Well, I just want to say I don't think that's a trend. Don't think that's a trend.
It's a trend by virtue of the fact that so many South African homes are doing it and have it in their homes. But how do you use it? How do you use family photography?
So, I mean,
in homes?
I think that is for private spaces.
Okay.
Yes.
Like?
So that is down your passage into your bedrooms.
Yeah.
I think that is where
I love family photos, collage style.
We
in
often
passages.
suggest that in like homes that we're working on. Like, let's do family photos because I think that's where it's appropriate to be, in your family space, down your passages. We can do nice gallery walls, but not in your main living space. No. Then we like to do something really, do some beautiful old art.
Rather,
absolutely.
Or something. And also, like, what about like these family pictures? I don't know, but like you see, it's a big picture of the kids in your main bedroom, where things that kids' eyes shouldn't necessarily be seeing. I mean, I don't know. How are you even able to do anything in your bedroom if there's like pictures of your darling bundles of joy watching you? I've been in people's houses and I'm like, how do you guys?
That's why we suggest art.
Yeah,
What's the photos in the passage?
Yes, one passage where you can't see, because now I'm looking at baby pictures and yeah. I feel very strongly about pictures. Also, in people. Okay, this is now an aside, but like Airbnb rentals. And then you get to a rental and I guess it's their home or whatever, but I feel like if I'm going to rent your place, please don't leave your pictures. Just remove them, because I don't want to be reminded that this ain't my house. Like,
yes,
I want
exactly.
to feel like,
but I'm just from surely a security aspect.
I have been in beautiful homes.
Do you know what I mean? Who live there? Like, do you really want people to see that those are your children?
Exactly. I've been in beautiful Airbnb homes, and there are the family pictures.
We would
just like
honestly suggest to keep your photos in private spaces and not in rental spaces, hospitality space.
Digressing now, but Anyway,
yes.
Okay, so we don't even have to rate that.
No. It's not a trend. It's not a trend. No. That's not a trend we're talking about. I would say other things that like seeing a lot of is let's have a look at these beautiful chairs we're sitting on. Kind of tactile fabrics.
Yes.
So tactile meaning like lovely feeling fabrics.
Yeah.
Those have been around for, I would say, the last year. And again, I think the whole thing is the texture, it's the comfort. And again, that goes back to creating retreat spaces for ourselves. Again, life after COVID.
Yes.
We went through this worldwide pandemic. So those are around, and I don't think that it's going to go out of
I love
fashion
these.
anytime
soon. It's like sheepskinish. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, like teddy. We call it boucle.
What is it called?
Like boucle.
Okay.
Yeah, but I must say, in lots of shapes and forms.
Yes.
There's a lot available to us to use. But
I like the way that it brings comfort in more traditionally formal furniture pieces. Like I've seen it in dining chairs.
Oh, I love it.
And I think that's interesting. I just don't know practically, like, how do you look after this?
Yes, and you're not the first person that's asked me. I had another friend of mine the other day, and they were like, oh, I love it, but I'm not sure how to look after it. Like, won't get dirty easily. And the answer is, I mean, look, you can still Scotch guard it. Obviously, also, more importantly, we have a whole lot of fabrics at our disposal these days where the actual like fabric fibers are engineered to be repellent against dirt and red wine. Yeah. Very important.
Yes.
Pain, soil, things like that. Yeah. So, like technology has advanced, which allows us to have beautiful white, cuddly fabrics.
No,
so
it's really
that's
nice.
Really exciting.
Me
and
toddlers.
Your thoughts? Love it, leave it?
Listen, I think
loving it.
Love it. Mm-hmm. I do question longevity, but I do love it. I think it's fantastic. But maybe I don't know about toddlers in this.
No, then you got to have the good fabric. You got to have you got to have the engineered fabric. No, you got to have the engineered fabric.
Yeah.
I'm not mentioning their name. Mm-hmm. We can do another whole post about them another time.
Yeah.
But we got to use the engineered fabric. Okay.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, I think that when it comes to things that are trending, because things can be trending without necessarily being a trend. Like marble is trending, but it is a classic. So I think know the difference between what's trending and what is classic and what's going to stand the test of time, and things that you have question marks about rather use sparingly.
Absolutely.
And in things that are easily switch upable.
I always just say trends. Yeah. Trends use sparingly. Yeah. That would be my advice, because those are things like, good example, as we spoke earlier, was the rose gold. It was something that came in and came out. So always my advice would be stick to classics for longevity, timelessness. That's what you want to create within your interior, whether it is at home, at work, wherever the case may be, and look to trends for like accessories or small bits, but not to base your whole scheme around.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have a little segment called the Design Conundrum. Every week we invite you to send us voice notes, whether on our social media DMs or on our WhatsApp line, which we'll share with you, where you ask us whatever design related question you have for your space, be it your home or your office, and we will try our best to answer it for you. So this week we have a design conundrum from Chelsea. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is what Chelsea says.
Hi Bridget, my design question is that when it comes to flooring, I am looking to do a large format tile in my downstairs of my house, but upstairs I will also need large format tiling in the bathrooms, so the main bathroom and the kids' bathroom. Should I use the same large format tile that we've selected in the bathrooms upstairs as downstairs, or is it okay if they're different designs or looks?
Okay, cool. So Chelsea's question is about, can you use the same flooring? Should you use the same flooring, or can you mix it up? And my answer is yes, of course you can mix it up. There's so many options when it comes to choosing specifically floor tiles. And I think, you can find something that is similar, like a friend, similar family. It can be the same tile, but in a smaller format. Just remembering bathrooms are smaller spaces. So if you are using a large format tile in your open plan living space, let's just say, in your bathroom, it's small. So, you might only be using, for instance, 3 big tiles in that small space. Then it doesn't really actually make sense to use sometimes that specific tile. Maybe you want to cut it in half, make it look smaller. Give it a different vibe. For me, I certainly don't think they need to match. I just think they're also in different spaces of your house. So I don't think that's something that you need to worry about. You can
especially because I think she says upstairs and downstairs.
Yes, exactly.
So for
there
me,
are different forms.
floors of different personalities, and it's totally fine.
Absolutely, and like not all. It's not really applicable if you're using a 1.2 by 600 towel. You know what I mean? It's you can definitely use a smaller towel in your bathroom and a different towel at that. So don't be scared of matching.
Switch
you can definitely
it up, Chelsea. Do it. Good luck.
Yes, send us pics. Awesome. So please keep your questions coming, and we will try and answer one per episode going forward.
Fantastic. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of our podcast. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages and on YouTube. And we look forward to going on this journey with you, man.
So excited. And if there's anything specific that you want to hear more of, any kind of episode ideas that you have going forward, please also, reach out to us on social media. We'll be sharing all of our links.
Thank you so much for listening and watching My Stylish Life.
This was so much fun.
Linda and Bridget. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.